I'm 88 years old, and if there is one thing I wish someone had done when I was younger, it would have been this. I wish someone had sat me down when I was 40 years old, looked me in the eye, and told me the truth about life. Not the polite truth, not the comfortable truth, the real one. Because when you are 40, you feel like you understand life already. You feel experienced. You feel like you've seen enough to know how the world works. But looking back now from 88, I can tell you something honestly. At 40, I was still a beginner. I had a job, a family, a mortgage, responsibilities. People depended on me. From the outside, it probably looked like I had everything figured out. But the truth is, I was still making mistakes that would quietly shape the next 40 years of my life. Mistakes that didn't look dramatic at the time. They looked normal. They looked like the way everyone else was living. And that is exactly why they were so dangerous. Because the most expensive mistakes in life rarely feel like mistakes when you are making them. They feel like ordinary days. They feel like routine. They feel like I'll deal with that later. And before you know it, 10 years pass, then 20. And one day you wake up older than you ever imagined being. And you realize something uncomfortable. You realize that the things you thought mattered most were often the least important. And the things that truly mattered were the ones you kept postponing. So today I want to share 7 things I wish I had understood when I was 40. 7 lessons that took me decades to learn. If you are younger than 40, you still have time. If you are around 40, you are standing at one of the most important crossroads of your life. And if you are older than 40, well, maybe some of this will still help you like it helped me. Let's begin with the first thing I wish I understood earlier. The first lesson is this. Stop assuming you have plenty of time. When I was 40, I believed something that almost everyone believes. I believed that real life would start later. Later when work slowed down. Later when the kids grew up. Later when the house was paid off. Later when things were finally stable. But life doesn't work that way. Life does not wait for the perfect moment. At 40, I told my wife many times that we would travel when I retired. We talked about Italy. We talked about seeing the ocean more often. We talked about taking long drives with no schedule. You know how many of those trips we actually took? 2. Just 2. Because every year something else came up. Work, bills, responsibilities, unexpected problems. And then one day, retirement arrived. But our health wasn't what it used to be. Energy wasn't the same. Travel wasn't as easy as we had imagined 20 years earlier. The lesson I eventually learned is simple. If something matters to you, start doing it now. Not perfectly, not dramatically. Just start. Take the short trip. Call a friend. Spend the afternoon with your children instead of answering another email. Because the future you are waiting for will arrive much faster than you think. And when it does, you may discover that the window you were planning to use is already closing. That brings me to the second lesson. And this one is uncomfortable. But it is one of the most important things I ever realized. Your job will replace you faster than your family will forget you. At 40, I worked constantly. Long hours, weekends, late nights. I told myself I was doing it for my family, providing, building security. And in many ways that was true. But there was another truth hiding behind it. Work gave me something else. It gave me recognition, status, the feeling that I was important. People returned my calls. People respected my opinion. People depended on me. That feeling is addictive, and it can slowly pull you away from the people who matter most without you even noticing. I remember one evening when my daughter was around 12 years old. She had a school event, some small presentation she had been preparing for weeks. I promised her I would be there. But that afternoon something came up at work, a meeting that suddenly became urgent. So I called home and told my wife I couldn't make it. I said the same thing many parents say. Tell her I'm sorry. Something important came up. Years later, when my daughter was an adult, we were talking about childhood memories, and she mentioned that evening. She didn't sound angry. She simply said something I will never forget. She said, I remember looking for you in the audience. That sentence stayed with me, because in that moment I realized something painful. Work would not remember the extra hours I gave, but my daughter remembered the one evening I wasn't there. And moments like that are impossible to rewind. That is why, if you are around 40 right now, I want you to think about something. 20 years from now, your children will not remember how busy you were. They will remember whether you were present. Now let's talk about the third lesson. And this one took me almost 60 years to understand. You do not need everyone to like you. When I was younger, I cared far too much about what people thought of me. Neighbors, colleagues, relatives, friends of friends. I wanted to be respected. I wanted to be admired. I wanted to avoid criticism. So I did what many people do. I tried to please everyone. I said yes when I should have said no. I kept quiet when I should have spoken honestly. I agreed with things I didn't believe, just to avoid conflict. Do you know what the reward for that behavior was? Exhaustion. Because trying to manage everyone's opinion of you is a full-time job. And the worst part is this. No matter how hard you try, someone will always disapprove of something. It wasn't until I reached my 70s that I finally understood something freeing. Most people are too busy thinking about themselves to spend much time thinking about you. That criticism you fear, half the people never noticed, and the other half forgot about it within an hour. But the time you spent worrying about their opinion, that time was real, and you never get it back. So if I could speak to my 40-year-old self again, I would say this. Live in a way that makes sense to you. Be kind. Be honest. But stop performing your life for an invisible audience. Because one day you will realize something. The audience you were trying to impress was never really watching. And by the time you understand that, decades may have passed. Now the fourth lesson is something I wish I had understood much earlier. Your body is quietly keeping score. When you are 40, your body is still forgiving. You can sleep badly for a few nights. You can skip exercise. You can eat whatever is convenient. And nothing terrible seems to happen. So you assume everything is fine. But the truth is something very different. Your body remembers everything. Every year of sitting too long. Every year of ignoring pain. Every year of telling yourself you will start taking care of your health soon. Soon becomes 50, then 60, and suddenly you realize the body you once took for granted is now limiting the life you want to live. I used to believe that health problems arrived suddenly, but now I understand something important. Most of them arrive slowly. So slowly that you barely notice them until they are already part of your daily life. If you are 40 right now, there is something powerful you can do. You can begin protecting the body that will carry you through the next 40 years. Walk more, stretch, rest properly, eat food that actually supports your energy. These things are not dramatic. They are quiet investments, but they compound over time. And when you reach your 70s or 80s, you will feel the difference every single day. I learned that lesson later than I wish I had. But it is never too late to start respecting the body that allows you to experience life. Now, the fifth lesson is about something people rarely talk about honestly. Friendships change more than you expect. When I was 40, I had a group of friends I believed would always be part of my life. We met regularly. We celebrated birthdays. We talked about our plans for the future. We assumed we would grow old together. But life moves people in different directions. Careers change. Families move. Priorities shift. And slowly, without any dramatic event, some friendships simply fade. At first, that felt like a failure to me. I thought something had gone wrong. But now I see it differently. Friendships are like seasons. Some last for decades. Others exist for only a chapter of your life. Both are meaningful. Both are valuable. But expecting every friendship to remain unchanged forever will eventually disappoint you. What matters more is nurturing the few relationships that truly matter. The people who show up. The people who listen. The people who care about you even when your life is not impressive. Those relationships are rare, and they are worth protecting. In the next part, I will tell you the final two lessons that changed the way I see life after 80. And the last one might be the most important thing I have learned in 88 years. Now let me share the sixth lesson I wish I had understood when I was 40. This one took me almost an entire lifetime to recognize. You must learn how to forgive earlier than you think you should. When I was younger, I believed that holding on to anger made me strong. If someone hurt me, I remembered it. If someone betrayed my trust, I carried that memory like evidence in a courtroom. I thought that refusing to forgive was a way of protecting myself. But over time I discovered something surprising. The person I was protecting wasn't actually being protected. He was being exhausted. Because holding on to resentment takes energy. It takes space in your mind. It follows you into quiet moments when you should be resting. And the strange part is that the person who hurt you often continues living their life without thinking about it at all. Meanwhile, you are the one replaying the moment over and over again. I carried anger toward a former business partner for almost 15 years. We had started a small company together when we were both in our 40s. Things went well for a while, then disagreements began. Small arguments about money, direction, decisions. Eventually, the partnership ended badly. We stopped speaking. For years I told myself that he was the one who had done something wrong, and perhaps he had. But something interesting happened. Many years later, one afternoon, I ran into him in a grocery store. We were both older, both slower, both quieter than we had been when we were younger. We stood there awkwardly for a moment. Then he said something simple. He said, "I hope life treated you well." And in that moment I realized something. All the anger I had carried for 15 years had not improved my life even slightly. It had simply occupied space. So I let it go. Not for him, for me. And the moment I did, I felt lighter in a way that surprised me. That is why if I could speak to my 40-year-old self, I would say this. Choose peace more often than pride. Not every disagreement needs to last for decades. Not every wound needs to remain open forever. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give yourself is simply deciding that the past is finished. Now the seventh lesson is the one that changed my life the most. And it is something I wish someone had told me when I was 40. Stop waiting to feel like you are enough. For most of my life, I believed that I needed to achieve more before I could relax. I thought that once I reached a certain level of success, then I would finally feel satisfied. Then I would feel proud. Then I would feel like I had earned the right to slow down. But the strange thing about achievement is that it moves the finish line. You reach one goal, and immediately another one appears. You buy the house, then you want the larger one. You earn respect in your profession, then you want more recognition. You save money, then you worry about whether it is enough. The goalposts keep moving, and if you are not careful, you can spend your entire life chasing the feeling that you believe is waiting at the next milestone. It took me many decades to understand something simple. That feeling was never waiting at the next milestone. It was available the entire time. The ability to sit quietly and feel content with your life does not come from achievements. It comes from acceptance. Acceptance of who you are. Acceptance of where you are in life. Acceptance that your worth was never something that had to be earned through endless effort. When I finally understood that, life became lighter. I still worked. I still cared about doing things well. But the pressure changed. The constant sense of chasing disappeared. And when that pressure disappeared, something surprising happened. I began enjoying the ordinary moments much more. The quiet morning coffee, the conversations that had no agenda, the slow walks where nothing important was happening. Those moments had always been available, but I had spent most of my life rushing past them, trying to reach the next thing. Now that I am 88, I can tell you something with complete honesty. Those ordinary moments were the real life I had been searching for all along. Not the promotions, not the achievements, not the approval of other people, just the quiet experience of being here. Looking back, I sometimes imagine sitting across from my 40-year-old self. He is busy, stressed, trying to hold everything together, trying to prove something to the world. And I would tell him something very simple. You are already living the life you will one day miss. The house that feels too small now will later feel full of memories. The children, who seem noisy and demanding, will one day have families of their own. The ordinary evenings that feel repetitive will become the moments you remember most clearly. Nothing about those days is temporary in the way you think. They are the life you are living. So pay attention to them. Do not rush through them. Do not postpone joy until everything is perfect, because perfection never arrives. Life is always slightly unfinished, slightly chaotic, slightly uncertain. And that is exactly how it is supposed to be. If you are 40 right now, you still have something incredibly valuable. Time. Not unlimited time, but enough time to change direction if you want to. Enough time to start taking care of your health. Enough time to start taking care of your health. And if you are older than 40, that is okay too. Because every day you wake up is another opportunity to adjust the way you live. It is never too late to stop rushing. It is never too late to appreciate the people around you. And it is never too late to realize that the life you were chasing has been quietly happening all along. That is what 88 years have taught me. Not complicated secrets, not dramatic revelations, just simple truths that take a very long time to understand. I hope you understand them sooner than I did.